My travel videos for each destination I've been to have been some of the most popular for those locations. So in this video, I want to go over with you guys the common travel mistakes I see other people making. Hopefully you will then be able to plan an awesome and amazing trip. So after this video, watch some of those other trips and you'll see how you can have an amazing trip by not making the mistakes from this video. Mistake 1, wasting your money on hotels that you barely stay in. When I was on Oahu, I stayed in the Royal Hawaiian on Waikiki, which is a fairly expensive hotel. But here's something you may not realize. I only stayed there 2 of the 5 nights I was in Oahu. Why? It is expensive. And most of the time I was on Oahu, I was exploring and not even staying in the hotel. Like I did this amazing Ka'au crater hike and it was 7 hours, and then later I went to this luau that night. So why would I have paid for that expensive hotel the whole day? Plan out your trip and then see if you actually need to stay in the fancy, nice hotel the whole time, and you can stay at another place, and then it normally just takes about an extra hour to move all the stuff from one hotel to another, and you've saved a ton of money that way. And just for your information, you can watch any of these trips I am talking about. I will put them in a playlist at the end of this video, and just scroll through it and watch whatever travel video that you like. Mistake 2, planning your trip at the last minute. When you plan a trip at the last minute, you miss out on the best activities a lot of times that you can possibly do in these locations. For example, the Bubble Hotel in Iceland, where you can see the northern lights just laying in your bed staring up. It's just amazing place to go, and it sells out a few months before the date you want to go. Skellig Michael is this awesome ancient monk island, and it was in the new Star Wars movies. In Ireland, they only allow 180 people on this island per day, and so you can't go there unless you have it planned about 4 months in advance. And I planned it about 5 months in advance, so I was able to get the fastest boat out to the island, which means I was the first one there to see the whole thing, and you can watch my Ireland video if you want to see that. So plan your adventures in advance. Mistake 3, planning your trip based solely off of what you see on Instagram or one social media outlet. In Oahu, I thought the Dole Plantation was going to be amazing. I saw aerial shots of the labyrinth right next to and within the Dole Plantation, and it looks amazing. When I got there, it was actually kind of lame. It was pointless and kind of ugly on the ground level from the inside. So my trick to avoid tourist traps like this is to make sure TripAdvisor always gives it a 4.5 or higher before I go there. So just because you see it on Instagram doesn't necessarily mean it's amazing. Go to TripAdvisor to verify first. If I would have checked the Dole Plantation on TripAdvisor, I would have seen it had 3.5 stars or whatever it is they use, which is quite bad from TripAdvisor. I have been to great places with low stars on my trips, but those are always the exception. I always make sure there's a ton planned with 4.5 stars and above. Mistake 4, people don't try and see as much of the country as possible. Most of the time when people go on a trip, they stay in one hotel for the whole trip. The problem with this approach is that you only see a small area normally right around where you're staying. If you do venture out, you waste a lot of time traveling back and forth between locations. So you end up either not going to those places or wasting that tons of time traveling. Instead, as an example, this is what I did in Ireland. I stayed in Dublin for the first night and spent the next day there. At night, I traveled up to Northern Ireland, which was a couple hours, to the Giant's Causeway. That way, the next morning, I was the first one there before all the tourists arrived. I didn't waste that time, and I drove 2 hours to my next location. And then I did that the next day to something called the Greenway, where we did a bike ride, and then we ended up going to another castle, the Ashford Castle, and then we went to Killarney, and so on and so forth until we went all the way around Ireland. And that way we stayed in so many places and we got to see so much of the country. If we wouldn't have done it that way and we tried to see all those places, we would have wasted at least 12 more hours on the whole trip. Number 5. The biggest mistake people fail to do is making sure everyone is on the same page with your vacation and travel goals. Some people only want to relax on a trip. Some people want to explore. Some want to go to museums. Some want to eat. Constantly ask and run things by your family or whoever you're going on travel with. In Thailand, I had an opening in my schedule, and so I ran a few ideas past my wife, and she was interested in a cooking class, a Thai cooking class actually. I thought it was, kind of lame. I wouldn't really like doing it, but it was awesome and I was so glad I did it. I was also surprised my wife wanted to go in a shark cage in Hawaii because she doesn't even like fish, let alone sharks that much, or being in the water. And so it works both ways. They may actually want to do something you think they don't want to do. If there are discrepancies in what you want to do, then you can work those out if you plan it in advance as well. In Iceland, I let my wife relax while I went snorkeling between 2 tectonic plates in this freezing glacier water, but her sister wanted to go, so we both went and did it. So get on the same page so everyone is happy. Don't be discouraged if they don't want to do everything you want to do, but plan around it. And if you're not married yet, make sure you marry someone that likes to have fun the same way you do. Otherwise, you're never gonna have a fun trip again, and that's a bonus tip. In all my videos, I aim to blow your mind and never waste your time. So like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.